Hello everyone, this is Eric Winthy from Nope on the Behemoth server, and this is a video guide to an alternate rotation from the standard Black Mage rotation. The standard single target Black Mage rotation has been Fire 3, 5 fires, followed up by a Swift Casted Flare, a Convert, a Fire, then Blizzard 3, Thunder 2, and Repetition. Without Swift Casted Flare, Convert, and Fire, that looks like Fire 3, 5 fires, Blizzard 3, Thunder 2, and repeat. The rotation detailed in this video is a potency per second increase over the standard Black Mage rotation, meaning it deals more damage per second. For my avatar, it has increased my DPS out of party on a training dummy from 405 with the standard rotation to anywhere between 425 and 440. Obviously, there's RNG based on whether or not you get good procs and good chances for some of the tricks used in this rotation, but on average it is a DPS increase no matter how bad your luck is. The rotation detailed in this video differs from the standard Black Mage rotation in 4 critical ways, which are the source of the DPS increases. The first DPS increase comes from the opening rotation when starting a fight. It begins with a Fire 3, followed up by a Fire, followed up by a Thunder cast. All Black Mages can use a Thunder 1 cast outside of a party if they do not have the Scholar Piety buff. Black Mages with the Scholar Piety buff, or Dunesfolk Lalafels in all situations, can then cast Thunder 2. Whichever Thunder you cast, you use the casting animation to check for a proc from your last fire. Then, you continue to cast a Fire, cast a Raging Strikes, check for a proc during the Raging Strikes animation, spam down your fires using fire starter procs as necessary, hard cast a Flare, use a proc if you have one after the hard casted Flare, convert, cast one more Fire, swift cast a Flare, use procs as necessary, and transpose. After you use transpose, cast Blizzard 1, Thunder 2, and then Fire 3. This does the most DPS while getting you back to full mana, so it's used every time you hit 0 mana and have nothing but transpose up. The second DPS increase comes from the use of Swift Casted Flares when neither Convert nor Raging Strikes are up. This looks like Fire 3, 5 Fire 1s, a Swift Casted Flare, Transpose, and then the post-transpose rotation, which is Blizzard 1, Thunder 2, and then Fire 3. The third DPS increase comes from hard casting flares when you get a Fire Starter proc on your second to last fire. This looks like Fire 3, casting 3 fires using procs as necessary. You cast your second to last fire, otherwise known as the fourth one. While casting your fifth and final fire, notice that you have a Fire Starter proc, hard cast Flare, use the proc, transpose, and then use the post-transpose rotation, going Blizzard 1, Thunder 2, and then Fire 3. The fourth and final DPS increase comes from a repurposed opening rotation that is used on fights like T9 and Leviathan, where the boss can become invulnerable for durations greater than 10 seconds, meaning that you lose all stacks of Astral Fire or Umbral Ice. This looks like Fire 3, Fire 1, cast Thunder 2, use a proc if you have it, cast your next 3 Fire 1s, then use the DPS increases in this order. You can Swift Cast Flare if you have it, or hard cast Flare if you got a Fire Starter proc on your second to last fire, or simply continue with your rotation casting Blizzard 3, Thunder 2, and then Fire 3. In review, there are several different rotations that are used based on a priority system. First, the opening rotation is performed at the start of the fight. It is again Fire 3, Fire, Thunder 2, check for a proc and cast it if it is there, Fire, Raging Strikes, check for a proc and cast it if it is there, spamming Fire, hard casting Flare, using a proc if it is available, casting Convert, casting Fire, casting Swift Cast Flare, using your procs, transposing, using the post-transpose rotation of Blizzard 1, Thunder 2, Fire 3, and then continuing. Second on the priority system is using your cooldowns in the middle of a fight. If it is the middle of a fight and Raging Strikes, Convert, and Swift Cast are up, cast Fire 3, Fire, Raging Strikes, use a proc if it came up, Fire, your third Fire, your fourth Fire, your fifth Fire, hard cast a Flare, use a proc if it's there, Convert, cast a Fire, Swift Cast Flare, Transpose, Blizzard 1, Thunder 2, and then Fire 3. Third in the priority system is a rotation if Swift Cast is up, but neither Convert nor Raging Strikes are up. You cast Fire 3, 5 Fire 1s, Swift Cast a Flare, Transpose, Blizzard 1, Thunder 2, Fire 3. Obviously use procs if they are up and as necessary. Fourth on the priority system is the rotation you use if no cooldowns are up, but you get a Firestarter proc on the second to last fire cast. This looks like Fire 3, you cast 5 fires, you hardcast a flare, you use a proc you received on the second to last fire cast, which is the fourth fire you cast, you transpose, you cast Blizzard 1, Thunder 2, and then Fire 3. Fifth on the priority system is if there are no cooldowns up. Then you perform Fire 3, 5 Fire 1s, Blizzard 3, Thunder 2, and repeat. Sixth on the priority system is a rotation you use when you cast Fire 3 without Umbralize stacks for the mana reduction. Again, this occurs in fights like Leviathan and T9 almost exclusively. You cast Fire 3, Fire 1, Thunder 1 or 2 depending on the piety your character has in that fight, 3 more Fire 1s, and then use the DPS increases in this priority. You either use a Swift-casted Flare, or a hard-casted Flare with a proc, or you just cast Blizzard 3, Thunder 2, Fire 3, and continue with your rotation. In addition to these rotation changes, here are some commonly done tricks that can increase your DPS. Firstly, when you get a Thundercloud proc during your rotation, be sure to save the Thundercloud proc and weave it in between fires. This lets you check to see if you get a Firestarter proc in the middle of your rotation. This looks like Fire 1, use the Thundercloud proc you're aware of, use a Firestarter proc if you have it, and then continue with your rotation. A second commonly done trick is using a Thundercloud proc when you already have a Firestarter proc. This looks like casting a fire, using the Firestarter proc you are aware of, casting another fire, finally using your Thundercloud proc, and then casting a Firestarter proc if you get another one, then continuing with your rotation. The third and final tip is using Transpose when you have a Firestarter proc coming out of Umbralize. This looks like casting your final fire, getting a Firestarter proc while you're casting Blizzard 3, casting Thunder 2, waiting for full mana, transposing, and then casting the Firestarter proc. This concludes the video guide to an alternate Black Mage rotation. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions or feel like I said something wrong in my video, feel free to comment below. Additionally, there are links in the description to parses on T6, T7, and T8, as well as a parse using the standard rotation and a parse using this rotation detailed in the video for comparison, all in the same gear set.